All right, welcome in. I'm WTOL11 Chief Meteorologist Chris Vickers. It is great to have you along on this Friday evening. We are live on our WTOL11 YouTube page. I want to welcome everyone that is viewing across the area and who knows, across the entire region. Coming up in just a few moments, we're also going to check in with meteorologist John Burchfield, and we are breaking down what is expected to be a whopper of a winter storm, and we're going to give this exclusive update here on our WTOL11 Plus channel and on our WTOL11 YouTube channel. I'll have the stream right here, and I'm going to be monitoring that very close. If you have any questions, please feel free to give a shout out on our YouTube page, and we're going to get you connected to the weather. We've got a major winter storm that is unfolding. In fact, this is really in the early stages of just developing. An area of low pressure is going to be developing out here just south of the Four Corners region, so somewhere over toward New Mexico and into western Texas. And notice that there's already some areas of heavier snow that are falling out there toward northern Texas, toward the panhandle of Texas. And when we call for a whopper of a winter storm, let me give you perspective on what we're going to be looking at with this winter storm. And I'll be honest with you, I don't remember the last time there was a winter storm warning that was this large and expansive across this much of the country. So follow me right here. Let's go from western Texas and New Mexico. Spanning across the country, these winter storm warnings extend over 2,000 miles and includes on the southern extent of this, there's some areas down here that are going to be experiencing some significant icing concerns. So eastern parts of Texas, northern Louisiana, Mississippi, even northern Alabama, into the Atlanta area and parts of the Carolinas. A crippling ice storm is going to be possible. Now think of the impacts with travel across the country. Air travel, travel by interstates, it is going to be an absolute chaotic disaster. Anywhere from Texas through the mid-Mississippi River Valley, Tennessee River Valley, Ohio River Valley, across the Carolinas. That's an ice storm warning, and they're expecting potentially a half an inch to an inch of ice that will be possible from northern Georgia up into the Carolinas. It will be a major and significant impact. So there's a feature or an index we could go by. This is called the Winter Storm Severity Index. It sort of measures on a scale of 1 to 5, limited to extreme impacts, and a vast majority of Texas and across parts of the mid-Mississippi River Valley through the Carolinas and eventually off the Northeast are into the moderate to major category for a winter storm. And if you look right here, we could actually even get a little bit closer in on that. We're going to be looking at some extreme winter weather impacts down across northern parts of Mississippi up into Tennessee. It is going to be a major winter storm that's going to be unfolding. Now, things the rest of our Friday night, they're pretty quiet across northwest Ohio, but boy, is it cold. Bitterly cold conditions showing up across northwest Ohio, and you're going to feel those temperatures. We've got frigid weather. I know you're feeling it if you stepped outside. I want to tell everybody that is monitoring right now on the YouTube chat. We've got Mary on there. We've got Michelle that's checking in, and Nancy as well. I'll say hello to you guys. Appreciate you being along this evening on our WTOL11 YouTube page. And if you're watching on WTOL11 Plus, well, you've already downloaded our app. We appreciate you being here with us. We're going to have another live update like this, noon on Saturday. You'll have an opportunity to see it on WTOL11 Plus and on our YouTube page. So that's when you could follow along next. And I'll also point your feature right here, side of the screen. You go ahead and pull your phone out right now while we're kind of having this conversation, and you can download our WTOL11 weather app, and we're going to give you those alerts, the interactive radar, personal videos we send directly to you, our 10-day forecast, which it's frigid, I'll tell you that. You can go ahead and download the free WTOL11 weather app. Appreciate having everybody along. Julie just chiming in. Hello, Julie. Great to have you along. Christopher as well. Love that we've got hundreds of people already on our YouTube page and many more on our streaming app as well. So appreciate having everybody along. Please keep the comments coming. I'll try to answer some of the questions as they come in. Wind chill value, we're as cold as 5, 10, 15. Even 17 below up there toward Hillsdale. And I know you felt it today. It came in very quickly. The high on Saturday, 7 degrees, mostly cloudy skies, going to be very cold. Winds aren't going to be too brutal. It doesn't take much of a breeze, though, with how bitterly cold things are. Many people have been asking, when does the snow begin to fall? And that's probably why you're tuning in. Now, all day Saturday, travel is going to be just fine. It will start to become tricky, and I'll urge caution. Sunday morning, anytime between daybreak to about 9 to 10 a.m., I'll say if you need to go somewhere, just travel with caution. You get after about mid-morning through about midday and into the early afternoon. I'm going to say it's going to be very poor travel that will be unfolding. So I want you to stay put if you're able to. Only travel if you absolutely must on Sunday afternoon, because we may be talking a half a foot of snow or more that will be already falling. We do have conditions across much of the area that are going to be under our weather impact alert. Widespread totals of 6 to 8 inches. I'm going to dive into the details of that coming up in a few moments. Major travel impacts will be unfolding, not only here locally, but across the entire region, as we have got the extreme chill that's going to be unfolding. I found this map interesting before I get into the snow totals. How crazy is this weather, by the way? Look here in Toledo, it's 2 degrees above zero. Anchorage, Alaska is now 21 degrees. It is nearly 20 degrees warmer up there in Anchorage, Alaska. That is the Arctic hammer that is spilling out of Canada and down into the region. There are active cold weather advisories across the entire region, and we're going to be feeling the bitter cold wind chills. So take a quick look at those wind chills. Rest of our Friday, double digits below zero, still going to be below zero for much of the day as we get into Saturday as well. So the weekend winter storm, we'll go ahead and time this out. I'm going to rewind the time here. Let's get back to the start of this storm system. And this storm is going to wallop parts of the region. And here we go on the timing of it. Saturday into Sunday is when this is really going to be gathering steam. So here's the clock, 11 o'clock Saturday night. We just get our first few flurries or light snow showers. So again, travel all day Saturday, going to be just fine. As we get into Sunday morning, that's when the steadier snow will begin to pick up. First thing out the door. Now, if you wake up Sunday morning and there's an inch of snow on the ground, don't think, all right, where's this winter storm? It's expected to begin slow early Sunday. It will ramp up midday through the early afternoon, and we expect several hours of steady, heavier snow that will blanket the area into Sunday evening. Should continue to snow through about sundown time, Sunday at 5 p.m. Then between, let's say, 6 p.m. to midnight, it exits the state of Ohio with what we expect to be several inches of an accumulation. So it's going to be cold. Heavy snow going to be out there into Sunday. 14 degrees, 15 on Monday. Still some travel impacts early in the day, and it stays bitterly cold. Now, we're expecting widespread totals, 6 to 8 inches of snow, and maybe this is what you're kind of tuning in for. Here's the heaviest snow. It is going to be to the south and to the east. North and west, you're going to be about 4 to 6 inches of an accumulation. That's the majority of southern Michigan. Williams over toward Fulton County. Widespread areas, 6 to 8 inches of snow. We've got viewers down there in Putnam County, much of Defiance County, Wood County, even northern Hancock County. This includes the Toledo Metro. John, I'm going to bring him in just a little bit. 6 to 8 inches of snow. We're going to have him talk more about that and put it in perspective on how big of a snowstorm that will be for Toledo Metro. Then 8 to 10 inches of snow will be out there south and east of the Toledo Metro. That's Upper Sandusky. It's Route 30. It's parts of 224 from Tiffin over toward Findlay. How about Norwalk? It's Route 250 as well down into Huron County. Fremont to Norwalk, that's Route 20. And how about State Route 4 as well up towards Sandusky? Those are all areas that are expected to get 8 to 10 inches of snow. If we're looking at Wood County, you're 6 to 8 inches of snow. And again, those lower totals to the north and to the west, where it could be as much as a half a foot. But bottom line, you look at this one, it is going to be a significant winter storm that will be impacting the area. Now, I mentioned meteorologist John Burchfield. We've got him along. And John, I have to have a second for you to put this into perspective, because some people say, all right, I've been around Northwest Ohio for some time. Half a foot, that's no big deal. But John, it's been years since we've had this, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of a big deal in recent memory, you know, especially with the last few winters and the way things have gone, Chris. You have to go back to 2022, so it's been almost 4 years since we got a snowstorm of this caliber, and John, that was in February, Chris.
That's incredible. So the last 3 winters, we've had snowfall totals that have ranged from about 10 inches to 14 inches for the entire season, haven't we?
Yeah, what winters is what some viewers may be saying, but if you remember on February 2022, we got a little over a foot of snow, and that was over the course of 2 days. And of course, the February prior had another doozy of a snowstorm with over 14 inches. That one certainly went down in the record book. So both of those were anomalous for February. But yeah, it's been almost 4 years since we got a snowstorm of this caliber.
And John, I know you're going to dive into this too, but really quickly before you get into it and kind of keep this in mind, I'm monitoring some of our YouTube comments that are coming in. A lot of people have been asking about a couple things here. Power outages, is that going to be a possibility? possibility, so I'll have you address that as well. Because the worst thing you could imagine is being without power when snow is falling and the winds are whipping up. And also, I'll clarify this as well. A lot of people asking about what level snow emergencies we could be. We have nothing to do with that. National Weather Service, that comes from local sheriff's offices where they declare the level snow emergencies. We expect we're going to get those levels. Where they go, it remains too early to tell. But yeah, I'll have you talk more about the power outage.
And yeah, we can delve into that first question, Chris. So I know you talked about some of those ice storm warnings to the south. So ice is one of the big factors that can cause power outages. That is not a concern for us at all. We are going to be 100% snow. So we're not
riding. Which is kind of rare for us, John. I mean, typically when we get snowstorms, it's like, oh, we're going to be on that rain-snow line. There's going to be some ice that mixes in. This is a no-doubter.
Yeah. With this Arctic high to the north, safe to say we're going to be well below 32. I mean, temperatures are still going to be in the teens when the snow is falling. So there's no question it's going to be all snow. So there's not going to be any ice that causes outages. And then the other issue that can sometimes cause power outages, Chris, the wind. We're not necessarily expecting any strong winds or blizzard conditions. There's going to be a little bit of a breeze, and due to how fine and powdery the snow is, yes, there could be some blowing and drifting around, but I would say power outages not likely to be a major concern. It's going to be a very fluffy and powdery snow. So one of the tools that we use to measure the consistency of the snow is what we call the snow ratio. In other words, how many inches of snow would melt down to an inch of liquid. Now, oftentimes early in the season with that heavy wet snow, we get ratios of about 10-to-1, meaning it would take 10 inches of snow to melt down to an inch of rainwater. However, with this one, we could be closer to 20-to-1. So it is going to be a fluffier, powdery, pixie dust type snow. It is going to be the heaviest since February of 2022. And in terms of the specific impacts you can expect, well, Chris broke down the snowfall totals. Widespread 6 to 8 inches looking likely, and those roadways are going to be snowy. Now, the thing with this one is essentially all the snow is going to be occurring during the day on Sunday, but there are still going to be some travel impacts that'll be felt into Monday. So I know a lot of area schools had the day off today, and you may be thinking, will the kids go back to school on Monday? And for many, the answer is going to be no, with residual travel impacts. So I do want to break down the hour by hour a little closer to home. We are likely to stay dry until overnight, late Saturday night into Sunday morning. So if you're thinking Saturday night plans, likely to be dry if you're heading out to dinner, if you're going to any events over the course of Saturday evening. Overnight, we start to see a few of those flakes that'll be flying. Saturday night featuring some minor accumulations. Now, when you wake up Sunday morning, yes, there may be a light coating of snow, maybe a little more to the south of Toledo, but most of that snow isn't going to start to really ramp up until Sunday. Steadier snow arrives Sunday morning, and check out Sunday afternoon as we really see those darker blue colors. Heavy accumulations are going to be likely throughout the day, with the bulk of the snow occurring during the day. So between about, say, 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. is when the vast majority of that snow is going to be accumulating. And then by Sunday evening, snow is going to be wrapping up. Shortly after sunset, it is likely that that snow exits to the east. So Chris broke down the snowfall totals. We're getting some new computer model data in which lines up really well with that snowfall map. It is going to be the type where you may need to break out the snow blower or at least shovel several times over the course of the day. Now, this is going to be falling essentially all in one day, so it's really going to pile up fast. And if you were to go out and shovel Sunday morning, you'd likely need to shovel a couple more times throughout the day. We are the most confident in some of those really impressive snowfall amounts far south and east of the Maumee River, areas like Seneca County, Crawford and Wyandotte counties, over towards Hancock County. And for the Toledo Metro, still likely to be a solid half a foot, if not closer to 8 inches if some of those higher end totals materialize. But we're likely to be that biggest snowstorm that we have experienced since February of 2022. So snowfall 6 to 8 inches, roads snowy, and the wind chills still going to be in that sub-zero territory. For tomorrow, not going to be quite as much of a breeze. There is going to be a little bit of a breeze that does pick up on Sunday. You know, initially the winds are going to be coming in out of the northeast, and they're going to be shifting to the northwest later on in the day. But we're not expecting any widespread power outages. If that is a concern that's on your mind, there could be some blowing and drifting out in the country and on rural roads, but I'm not expecting blizzard conditions by any means. It's not going to be a strong gusty wind like some of those blizzard type snowstorms. So let's check out the hour by hour again. We're going to be having snow move across the Ohio Valley late Sunday down towards Tennessee. That pink color is freezing rain and ice. That's going to be a really big issue. Sometimes the freezing rain and the ice can actually be more of a traffic hazard than the snow, and it's tougher to drive on. on. That snow is going to start to be filling in by Sunday morning, and you'll notice those darker blue colors from Cincinnati back towards St. Louis. That is an area that's going to get walloped by this storm and see even higher snowfall totals than we do here at home. So throughout the afternoon, heavy snow is going to be likely. It's going to be exiting off towards New England, and folks in parts of Pennsylvania and New York are going to get hammered with way heavier snowfall than us. You know, if you think 6 to 8's a lot, there is a widespread chance of 10 to 15 inches across the twin tiers of southern New York and northern Pennsylvania. So the temperature is another big part of our weather story. We're in the single digits right now, and overnight tonight it is going to be downright frigid. Our coldest air temperature this season is still -2. So actually tomorrow morning it's likely to be the coldest temperature we've experienced all winter long. The wind chill factor might not be quite as harsh as today because the winds aren't going to be as brutal, but still we are expecting well below zero temperatures and wind chills that feels like still ranging from about -9 to -17 up towards Hillsdale County. So very, very cold. Now, Chris pointed out where this storm is coming from. Kind of amazing how far this storm is going to travel. It does contain a lot of moisture, but it's also going to be colliding with that Arctic high to the north of us. And you can already see a hodgepodge of different colors. The purple color indicates sleet and wintry mix. The pink is freezing rain and ice, and the blue is snow. Portions of Oklahoma are going to be getting about 10 to 15, if not up to 18 inches from Tulsa and Stillwater over towards Arkansas as well, getting some unusual snow for many folks who aren't necessarily accustomed to it. So we have an Arctic high developing to the north of us. That cold front, that strong Arctic cold front swept in early this morning, and that Arctic high is going to keep our temperatures very frigid. So as the snow is falling, temperatures are going to be in the teens. So there's no question about it. It is going to be a 100% snowmaker event. No wintry mix, no worries of any icing. There's ample moisture with this low, and as that low collides with the Arctic high, it is going to produce all the ingredients for the winter storm. Now, one of the nuances with forecasting this is how strong is that Arctic high and how far north or south does that low develop. Earlier on in the week, we were keeping a close eye on computer models as to how far north that low makes it, because if it didn't make it far enough north, it would have been a near miss as far as the biggest impacts. But right now, it does look like we are going to be on what we call the northern side of the sweet spot, not necessarily seeing the heaviest snowfall totals, but still a very decent amount of snow. Maybe not quite as much as folks down towards Columbus and Indianapolis, but still some impressive snowfall totals as that low interacts with the Arctic high to the north of us. So weather impacts that we're expecting: bitterly cold, heavy snow heading into your Sunday, and there are going to be some lingering travel impacts into the day on Monday as well. And we have opted to extend that weather impact alert day through Tuesday morning, and really next week it is going to be downright cold. A lot of folks wondering, will this snow stick around? And the answer is absolutely yes. And we'll send it back to Chris in just a moment as we talk about some of the lingering impacts that are going to be felt. In fact, throughout the end of January and start of February, there's no signs of this cold weather relenting. So hunker down. This will be our first real winter in a bit. In fact, temperatures are going to be in the teens to the 20s for the entire rest of the month and possibly even into early February.
John, you broke my spirit a little bit with that.
Yeah, no signs of spring. I know Groundhog Day is actually in our 10-day forecast, so we'll verify with Punxsutawney Phil, but I have a feeling he's going to be calling for 6 more weeks of winter.
The trick's on us, isn't it?
Yeah, that's how the outlook is trending. So this snow is not going to be melting anytime soon. It's going to be a wintry landscape with snow really dotting the landscape through at least February.
John, what's one thing? You're going to be covering this storm all weekend as well. I mean, you and I have been forecasting weather here in Northwest Ohio for years. What's one thing that you're really looking out for with this storm? I know you talked about the winds, and that kind of gave us rest assurance that this isn't going to be anything major as far as winds, although there could be some blowing and drifting. What's one thing you're looking forward to this storm that people need to know about?
Yeah, so it's the sheer number of hours that it's going to be snowing for. I do think some of those higher end totals, Chris, could materialize, especially when you get those higher snow ratios. Right. We talked about, 20 to 1 or even 18 to 1. So if you think about it, it doesn't take quite as much moisture to produce those higher snowfall totals. totals. And if it's snowing, especially for our southeastern counties, if it's snowing heavily from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., that's 12 hours of snowfall. So if you put that at close to an inch an hour, you get some of those higher localized totals. So I wouldn't be totally surprised if we do get some localized higher amounts closer to a foot. That's not necessarily going to be the norm. Not everyone's going to be getting that, but it wouldn't shock me if we do get some of those higher totals. And yeah, there could be some blowing and drifting out in the country, and some of those snow drifts may pile up just a little bit higher. Not necessarily a blowing and drifting event for the Toledo Metro, but in a lot of areas, school buses are going to be thinking, school districts going to be thinking, wow, Monday morning, especially if there's a little bit of drifting in the country.
Well, think about this, John. If we get 8 to 10 inches in the country area, especially south and east, and it blows and drifts a little bit, we could have 2-foot drifts in no time.
Yeah, certainly a possibility with this one. Not going to be a blizzard condition type storm, but still going to be piling up fast. And it's a lot of those rural areas south and east that are going to be seeing the highest snowfall totals, Chris.
Yeah, one thing I want to point out, too, kind of monitoring our YouTube chat once again, a lot of people have been asking, John, can the kids go out there snow sledding and enjoying it on Sunday? Just be smart about it, right?
Yeah.
Because it's going to be cold. Kids can still go outside, but just monitor for these signs of, frostbite or hypothermia, and make sure they get some warm hot chocolate when they come in, and make sure you keep them warm.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, temperatures will be in the teens. Wind chills could be near to even slightly below zero. So I would say keep the sledding or the snowboarding brief, 30, 45 minutes, and then warm up after, or take frequent breaks inside. So, if you want to have a snowball fight for a few minutes, although it might be kind of hard to make the snowballs, though, with how fluffy this stuff's going to be.
I had a comment, too. Someone asking here, lost the name of it, some apologies on there. They said, when is it going to warm up? My response was June.
Yeah, there's a 100% chance of a warm summer, I heard.
Right, at least warmer than what we're experiencing right now. John, I appreciate that, and I appreciate all your coverage you're going to be given this weekend as well. You can catch meteorologist John Burchfield as well. He'll be back here on WTOL11 Plus and on our YouTube page this weekend. Hey, we're going to keep you guys connected all weekend to this winter storm, and let's take a look where it is again. I think this is fairly impressive as this winter storm does establish itself. Really, the early stages of it, we're looking at this area right here, the panhandle of Texas, and we call this kind of a panhandle hook type of system because where they develop in this area, they tend to swing east and then eventually drift back to the north. And these typically can be some of our more prolific type of snowstorms because they draw up some of that Gulf moisture, and that ample Gulf moisture is really going to wreak some havoc on the area. I mentioned this earlier, really incredible. The winter storm warnings that are in effect is from Texas and New Mexico, spanning about 2,000 miles all across the Ohio River Valley and off the eastern seaboard. I will get in now really quick to our local area just to kind of show you what we're expecting as far as winter storm warnings in our area. Now, we've got some data here that indicates our highest confidence is Putnam County, Hancock County, down into Wyandotte and Crawford. Also, Seneca, Sandusky, Ottawa, Erie, and Huron counties. Those are all the counties under a winter storm warning. I checked in with the National Weather Service just about an hour ago. I said, what's the deal here with Wood and Lucas County? We're still under a winter storm watch. They said, hey, we're going to gather the data that's going to come in tonight. The models are going to start crunching right around 8 p.m., 8 to 9 p.m., and then we'll get the results of those models just before midnight. That will be coming in, and then we'll see if anything's changed for these counties because, again, this is about the area, the Maumee River, that we're on that cusp, so to speak, of where we see the heaviest snow to the south and to the east of the Maumee River, lighter totals to the north and west. I suspect we'll likely get a winter weather advisory across southern Michigan for Hillsdale, Lenawee, and Monroe County, and then we'll potentially see, I got a feeling that we're going to see an upgrade to a winter storm warning for Lucas County and for Wood County. So just kind of keep that in your back pocket if you've been wondering. Hey, my WTOL11 weather app, which, again, you can download right there if you're watching here on YouTube or you're on WTOL11 Plus, and you're thinking, all right, I love this. I don't have the WTOL11 weather app yet. You're going to go ahead and scan that. We're going to download that. And then next up into the weekend, meteorologist Davis Wells is going to have our next update here on WTOL11 Plus and on our YouTube page and, of course, on air tomorrow morning on WTOL11 Plus. And, of course, John and I are going to be on tonight on WTOL11 on Fox 36 at 10 and on WTOL11 at 11. Fairly calm conditions now, but I'll tell you, it's just downright cold across the area. We're teetering now with the 0-degree mark, and it's not going to be long before we fall below zero. It is going to be a frigid night tonight. Should reach close to 7 below for the overnight low. 8 below is where the current wind chill is in Findlay. 13 below in Wauseon, and the high on Saturday, it is going to be 7 degrees. Very cold conditions, and I expect Saturday will be a dry day. When will travel become tricky? Sunday morning, I'm going to tell you this. If you need to travel early Sunday morning, and you don't really care for any snow, just go ahead and stay home. But if you need to get out, maybe Sunday services, you want to run to the grocery store, you head out to breakfast, you grab that cup of coffee, I still think between 6, 7, 8, 9, even up to about 10 a.m., you may be okay, snow-covered roads, but just take your time and be cautious. It's really late morning through the afternoon is what I'm going to call travel poor. That's when the winds will pick up a little bit, maybe 10 to 20 miles per hour, so a little blowing and drifting of that snow. But the snow will be steadiest at that point, so be advised that travel will turn poor through the afternoon. So don't judge this snowstorm on what you see when you wake up. That's a very key point because it is going to snow steadily much of the day as we go into Sunday. The hour-by-hour forecast, I'm going to get one final closer look before we let you go this evening. And meteorologist John Burchfield and I are going to kind of check in on the latest data. We have dry conditions on Saturday morning, and then Saturday afternoon, we are still dry, mostly cloudy skies, and it will stay dry all day Saturday. The first chance we could get a snowflake is actually going to be Saturday night by about 11 o'clock. That's nothing that's going to be accumulating. So you head to bed, snow may just be beginning, and it's going to be slow at first. It's by Sunday morning, it really begins to ramp up. Here's the clock, 8:30, and it will be heaviest to the south and to the west, sweeping into the area. But again, maybe an inch or less on the ground by the time you wake up Sunday morning. So don't judge this storm on that. It will snow steadily, as John said. That's one thing he's watching, the duration, 12 hours of snow. If you get a half an inch an hour, which is really easy to do in a system like this, you get 6 inches of snow over 12 hours. You see how it can add up fairly quickly. Should snow steadily through the early evening. Heaviest to the snow, I think this lines up just right. South and east of the Toledo Metro. And these are the exact areas we're calling for 8 to 10 inches of total snow. That is going to be areas south and east of the Toledo Metro. And then we're looking at temperatures that will stay frigid. So a final look here at our snow totals. 6 to 8 inches of snow is what we're looking at. That includes Defiance down toward Ottawa into Henry County, so Napoleon, Liberty Center, down toward Hamler and Malinta. You could see over a half a foot of snow. Bowling Green, Weston, down toward North Baltimore, up into northern Wood County, Lucky, Pemberville, up to Northwood through Toledo. All of Lucas County, that includes the entire Toledo Metro, Sylvania, Perrysburg, Maumee, Ottawa Hills, Oregon, Waterville, White House, all in that 6 to 8 inch range. And there it is, the more chance of a more robust snowstorm of 8 to 10 inches of snow off to the south and to the east. So it will turn out to be a fairly big system. The impact level 4 out of 5 is where I'm going to put this because it's the combination of the cold and the snow that's going to be out there. And some extreme cold tonight, 7 degrees below zero is what we're going to be expecting. And it will be frigid as we start the morning hours on Saturday. Wind chill factor Saturday morning, we're going to be looking at sub-zero wind chills even into the afternoon. Although it will be a dry day, it will be a cold day. Now, I'm going to end here tonight with your 10-day forecast. And I do want to, in a moment, get one more thought from meteorologist John Burchfield as we wrap things up. But here's what we're going to be looking at Saturday. 7 degrees for the high, 14 on Sunday, 15 on Monday. We've extended that alert now through Monday night and into Tuesday because we suspect it may be bitterly cold Tuesday, and that highs will stay in the teens, and this is some incredible cold through the end of January and into next weekend. It may be to the end of next weekend before we actually reach 20 degrees or more. Meteorologist John Burchfield, if we could bring him in as well. John, in the next 60 seconds, we're going to wrap up right here at the bottom of the hour at 7:30. Thoughts on this incoming winter storm? A little excited maybe? It's been a while since we've had a storm like this.
Yeah, there's definitely some excitement with it. It's been, almost 4 years, so
Right.
We haven't had this in a while. I mean, this winter's definitely shown some signs from early on, Chris, that it was going to be a more active one.
Yeah.
Early December delivered. We didn't necessarily get that big storm, but at least some frequent little tastes. I think the cold is something many folks could do without, even snow lovers. But nonetheless, it's definitely an old-fashioned winter. So we've got the cold, we've got the snow, and certainly looking forward to it. I know growing up in Northwest Ohio, always loved the snow. I don't think I would have been totally satisfied with 6 inches as a kid. I would have wanted more like a foot of snow. But hey, we'll we'll take what we can get.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a good sledding snow as well with that fine powdery snow. So have a little fun with it too. Stay safe and stay home if you're able to.
You know, John, good point too. And all things considered, this coming in on a Saturday night into a Sunday morning, it is over a weekend. So I do need people to monitor weekend travel plans. But the heaviest of the snow falls over the weekend. But John, look at this. That cold is not going anywhere, is it?
Nope, not going anywhere. And it does look like through at least early February, going to be staying on the cold side. So snow is going to be here for a while.
All right, meteorologist John Burchfield, I appreciate your dedication to keeping Northwest Ohio and Southern Michigan safe through this storm. I appreciate everybody on our YouTube page that has been watching this special production here. And even better, if you've downloaded our WTOL11 Plus app and you're watching on your smart TV, we certainly hope you continue to do that and tell everyone about it, because this is how we're going to be covering winter storms as we go through the year, and of course weather like this year around. So we appreciate this special way to connect with you over the past 30 minutes. Boy, we had a little bit of fun and we dove deep into some of the weather data. For meteorologist John Burchfield, I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Vickers, wishing you a very safe weekend, and we pledge to keep you up to date as we go through this upcoming winter storm. Everybody take care, have a great weekend, we'll stay in touch.